comes from Tom Tiffany's office. This is Brady speaking. How can I help you?
Hi there. I am wondering, I'm calling because I know most people that pick up these phone calls are usually pretty young, and so I'm concerned for them that they haven't considered this. Have you thought about the fact that working for a fascist regime is going to make you unhireable? Like, are you just doing this for fun, knowing that you're never going to be able to put it on a resume, or have you not thought of that?
No, it's all right. I've considered all of it.
Okay, so you don't care if it makes you unemployable. Because eventually this fascist regime is going to fall, and then anyone who worked for said fascist regime is going to be considered a fascist. Will have to lie about that fact if they want to exist in society. And so you're obviously going to have to not have it on your resume if you want a job. So you just enjoy picking up calls from angry constituents?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. That's weird. Did you go into it wanting to be a traitor to the country?
Yeah, I didn't consider it. But
Oh, that's something you should consider. That's something you should consider, because if you Google Nuremberg secretaries, even they, were held accountable eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Are you proud to be a fascist?
Listen, I can take down questions and concerns and stuff like that, but I just don't think this is going to be productive use of either of our time. There's real constituents on the line who I've got to help, but,
Do you only answer to the fascist constituents? Is that the issue?
No. I mean, I picked up the phone for you.
Well, thank you for appreciating that I'm not part of your regime. Yeah, I would just sleep on that, bud, because I know you're young and you're ruining your career for the rest of your life. It's going to be tough to get a job once. I mean, you have to know that nobody wants to hire a traitor. Eventually, we know how this goes. Imagine in 1950 putting on your resume that you worked for the Nazis. That obviously wouldn't go over well. So just think about that. Maybe sleep on it and see if you're taking the right path.
Understood.
All right. Have a day.
All right. You as well. Office of Congressman Mike Collins.
Hi, I'm calling because I am wondering, I know the people who answer the phones tend to be college students or freshly out of college. And so I'm wondering if you've given any thought to, a decade or two down the line, what you're going to tell your children you were doing during this time.
Sorry, ma'am.
I'm wondering what you're going to tell your children when they inevitably ask what you were doing while our government was putting people in concentration camps and sicking the military on U.S. citizens, occupying free cities. I'm wondering what you're going to tell your children you were doing. Are you going to admit that you were part of the fascist regime, or are you going to lie about your past?
I don't give personal views over the phone, but I'm happy to pass a comment along to the congressman.
Okay, well, maybe think about that. You don't have to tell me. It's your conscience that's going to have to deal with it. So maybe sleep on that and think about what you're going to tell your kids you were doing right now, if you're going to tell them you were part of a fascist regime.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for calling.
Have a day.
Have a great day. Thank you for calling the office. May I help you?
Hi, I'm calling because I am wondering if, is it really worth it to you, this 2-month internship or whatever it is, to for the rest of your life after that, once this regime falls, that you're unhireable, not able to go out in public without lying about your name, all of that. Is that really worth it?
Unfortunately, ma'am, if you have any relevant concerns, I will take down any.
Well, I think that's very relevant. I'm concerned for your future. You're our youth.
Well, unfortunately, ma'am, I can't speak on behalf of my personal business, but if you have any comments or concerns about any legislation for Mr. Whitman to hear,
I do have a comment and concern. My concern is that you're going to go down in history as a traitor, and your kids are going to lie about their names to not have to be associated with you. And I don't know if you've really given it much thought, given, I was your age once. And I know you don't really think about stuff like that, but think about if anyone was hiring someone who worked for a Nazi regime in 1950, and then decide if you think that you should stay there. Sleep on it.
Well, we appreciate you giving us a call, and thanks for that pass on.
I would appreciate you not being a traitor to the country. Have a day.
Office of Congressman Mike Collins.
Hi, I'm calling because I am wondering, I know the people who answer the phones tend to be college students or freshly out of college, and so I'm wondering if you've given any thought to, a decade or two down the line, what you're going to tell your children you were doing during this time.
Sorry, ma'am.
I'm wondering what you're going to tell your children when they inevitably ask what you were doing while our government was putting people in concentration camps and sicking the military on U.S. citizens, occupying free cities. I'm wondering what you're going to tell your children you were doing. Like, are you going to admit that you were part of the fascist regime, or are you going to lie about your past?
I don't give personal views over the phone, but I'm happy to pass a comment along to the congressman.
Okay, well, maybe think about that. You don't have to tell me. It's your conscience that's going to have to deal with it. So maybe sleep on that and think about what you're going to tell your kids you were doing right now, if you're going to tell them you were part of a fascist regime.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for calling.
Have a day.
Have a great day.
Congressman Pence's office, how may I help you?
Hi, I'm calling because I am wondering, when you get a little bit older, start a family, all of that, what you're planning on telling your children you were doing during this time. Like, do you plan on lying about the fact that you're working for a fascist regime? Or are you going to tell them you were, part of the problem?
I'm not sure I've thought about that, man.
Maybe you should sleep on that, because they're going to ask inevitably. This is going to go down in history. A treasonous group of people overtaking our country, occupying cities with military against U.S. citizens, putting people in concentration camps. Like, the Republican Party is going to go down in history as an evil regime. And so maybe just think about what you're planning on telling your kids.
Alrighty. Well, you have a nice day, man.
I hope you stop being a traitor. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, Congressman Ben Klein's office.
Hi, I am calling because I know most of the people that answer these calls are like college age or just out of college. And so I'm wondering if you've given any thought, just because I know I probably wouldn't have when I was in college. Have you given any thought to, like, 10, 20 years down the line, what you're going to tell your children you were doing at this time?
Man, my job in this capacity is to bring your questions and concerns to the congressman.
So no, you haven't thought about it? Like, are you going to tell them you were part of a fascist regime, or are you going to lie about your past to your children?
Well, I can make sure to bring that question to the attention of the congressman for you.
Well, it's a question for you. You're dodging it because you don't want to face the reality that you're working for a fascist regime right now. But I suggest maybe you sleep on that and decide, because to be clear, it's not only like lying to your kids you have to be concerned about, or your kids like living in shame, changing their names to not have to be associated with you. But it's also like, do you think any Nazis were getting hired in 1950? Do you think they were putting that they worked for the Nazis on their resume? It makes you completely unhireable for the rest of your life. And I don't want you to ruin your career this early on.
Do you have any questions or comments for the congressman?
I'd like him to stop being a fascist, but really I called because I care about you, and Mr. Klein does not care about you.
Well, I'll make sure to bring these messages to the congressman's attention for you.
More importantly, sleep on it. Sleep on the fact that you're a fascist right now. By definition, you're directly employed by a fascist regime. And think about if you're going to want to deal with the consequences of that down the line, because no fascist regime lasts forever.
I'll make sure to bring your message to the congressman's attention for you.
Yeah, and also sleep on it.
I'll make sure to include that in the message.
Cognitive dissonance only hurts you. Have a good one.
Thank you, you as well. Congressman Jeff Craig's office.
Hi, I'm calling because I am wondering how much time do you think is going to pass before this internship makes you a complete pariah, like completely unhireable? Your kids are going to lie about their names. It's going to happen eventually. Every fascist regime falls. But do you think it's going to be like next year or maybe like longer after you're established?
Well, ma'am, I'm not an intern, and also I'm not allowed to give my personal opinions on this line.
Oh, working for a fascist regime is even worse. Do you think you're going to be able to put this on your resume after this regime falls? Do you think not put
my resume?
Well, right now it is because the Nazis are in power, but do you think Nazis who worked for the Nazi regime were putting on their resume in 1950 that they worked for the Nazis?
As I've already said, ma'am, I cannot give my own personal opinions on this line, but I would say no.
Yeah, they probably weren't. So I think you should probably sleep on that. Did you have any plans for what?
Nazi, so.
Well, you do. You do. There's literal concentration camps, and you're sitting in an occupied city right now. You've either never read a history book. You've either never read a history book or you're having like an extreme case of cognitive dissonance, because this was in like 7th grade history. And then 8th grade, and then 9th grade, and then 10th grade, and literally until your last history class, we all learned about this.
I'm aware of the history you're referring to, ma'am, but we don't see any evidence of that existing in today's society.
No, you don't think you don't think the president saying, oh, so if I get you in a war, I don't have to leave office. You don't think that's concerning? You don't think celebrating, talking about how you want human beings to be eaten by alligators while sending them to a camp, that's not concerning to you? Occupying a city is not concerning to you? Are you
We're not exposed to the alligators, ma'am, and we don't really want any crime in our cities, much less violent crime. So
then you should really take care of that 34-time felon in the White House.
Well, ma'am, I don't have the power to do anything about that,
So you'll just follow his orders instead.
Do the best we can.
Yeah, well, just so you know, just following orders wasn't an excuse the last time, and it's not going to be this time.
Well, those were your words and not mine, ma'am.
Well, it's reality. Google Nuremberg secretaries and see what your future holds, especially because you're not even a secretary.
But I'm not in any situation where that would be relevant to my situation or anyone in this office's situation, because we don't work and support Nazism.
You don't?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay, so you're speaking out against the concentration camps then?
There's no concentration camps. Ma'am.
What do you call a detention camp that's highly concentrated that you send people to without due process? What's your word for that?
An immigration detention center.
Okay, and how is that different than a concentration camp? Where do you see the distinction?
Well, there's
okay, I will give you that you're not starving people to death in our concentration camps. Oh, wait, yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Not killing anyone.
There's documented cases of people starving to death. What the... are you really, are you dumb or are you just malicious, evil?
Ma'am, I'm not going to answer that question.
All right, well, just know that any future children you have are going to lie about who they are because they will live in shame otherwise.
My children will live proudly.
No, they won't unless you're raising Nazis, I guess, which seems likely in this scenario.
Again, ma'am, there's no Nazi support in this office, and there never will be.
There very clearly is. But literally the entire world, except for your dumbish cult, sees it. Literally the entire world. Have you opened anything other than Fox News in the past 10 years?
I actually don't read or listen to Fox News, ma'am.
Oh, okay, so then you should, then you have no excuse, and you're fully aware. Then you're fully aware of what you're doing, and it's shameful, and you're an embarrassment and a traitor to the country, and it's really despicable.
Certainly not, ma'am.
You could say no all you want. Your actions are speaking louder than your words. You're a disgrace. You're an embarrassment to your parents. And again, your children... So what's your plan of what are you going to tell your children when they say, what were you doing while people were being rounded up and sent to detention facilities, as the people in power joked about feeding them to alligators as they starved to death, and as the military occupied the Capitol and conducted random illegal searches at Union Station on citizens? What are you going to tell them you were doing?
Ma'am, we support law and order in this country, and
That's not law and order, and no, you don't. You elected a 34-time convicted felon. That's a. What do you mean you support law and order? That's the funniest thing I've heard. You guys protect pets.
Ma'am, there's no evidence of that. And again,
Are you dumb? You're so
Police of the files throughout the entire process.
No, you blocked it. What do you mean you did? Do you think I don't pay attention? Are you really taking me for that much of an idiot? I watched him vote against releasing them. I watched it.
A discharge petition onto the end of a defense appropriations bill that the representatives who presented that amendment didn't even vote for.
And yet they didn't propose, let's just release the files. I think Marquain Mullen's exact quote was, we need to provide the president cover in regards to him being a pet.
Well, we don't work for Mr. Mullen, ma'am, so.
No, but you vote in line with him every time. Google cognitive dissonance, because you seem very confused. You seem to not realize that you're the bad guy in history. You're the evil, shameful disgrace that everyone is going to look back on in shame. You're a poop smear on our history.
You're certainly entitled to that opinion, ma'am.
Well, it's not just my opinion. And again, Google Nuremberg secretaries. Your future doesn't look bright if you continue to work.
I know the history that you're referring to, and again, it's not.
Well, clearly you don't, because you're literally putting yourself in that position.
Well, again, as I've said, ma'am, we don't support Nazism in this office and never will.
You can say those words, but your actions are the exact opposite. And I'm not as dumb as your cult who believes anything a fascist regime says to me.
There's no fascism going on in this office.
You're a liar. You're a liar and a traitor, and I hope you rot in prison. I'm going to do everything.
Pass those messages along.
So if you're so proud of what you're doing, what's your name?
My name is Jack Massey, ma'am.
Jack Massey? Any relation to the only Republican with any level of dignity?
Name is spelled differently.
Oh, shame. That would have at least helped bump up your treasonous scum score a little bit. But nope, you're still way at the bottom of the barrel.
All right, ma'am. I can certainly pass those messages along to the congressman.
Have a day, traitor.
Have a good rest of your day.
Have a terrible day.